is prairie, regular prairie grass, plains blue stem or whatever it is.
Gentlemen, welcome to 23rd of April version of Midwest City Council. Now call this meeting to order. I would ask that Mr. Sullivan come down and offer our invocation, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the beautiful day we've enjoyed today. Father, thank you for blessing us with this rain we've had. And Father, we thank you that we're assembled tonight to conduct the business of this city. Father, we thank you for this council and their service. And Father, the decisions that are before them, we ask your wisdom and discernment be upon them. And we ask that the decisions that are made would be for the good of the whole in this community. Father, we're blessed to have a wonderful group of men and women who serve this community in a professional way. We thank you for them and their dedication and devotion. We thank you for this great nation we live in, Lord, and the men and women who are all over the world tonight sacrificing and defending our freedom. Father, we ask your protection be upon them and a blessing of peace as well. Thank you for your son, Jesus. We thank you so much for that gift and the ultimate example of selflessness and sacrifice. And we ask all these favors in his holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please follow me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go around the horseshoe with any community-related announcements.
I'm sorry, we're having a little conference over here.
No problem.
There is an event at Black Bear Diner Thursday. I believe it's 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's Tip a Cop for benefit for Special Olympics. So go out and have some chicken and waffles over at Black Bear and tip a cop for Special Olympics if you can.
Okay.
We've got, in June coming up, we have the association celebration for all the neighborhood associations. We also have May 10th through the 11th, the Made in Oklahoma Fest.
If I can get in on that one with you, they're looking for volunteers on. I saw an email, so if you're interested in volunteering or know any groups that need to do some volunteer hours, you might suggest to them. They're needing volunteers and offering free T-shirts for that. I also omitted to, just really quick, Mayor, there's free pet ID tags being given out at our fire department on Friday. And it's in the morning. I think it's 9 to 12, but I'm not positive of the times. I'm sorry, I didn't put that one in my phone. And on Saturday,
There's
sorry, Chief is telling me 10 to 2. Thank you, Chief. And also free pet ID tags being given out at the Midwest City Library Saturday, the 27th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a joint effort with Pet Vet, and there are also going to be some, Chief help me, pet goodie bags of some type that was listed on the social media post. Show up, get a pet ID tag, and hope for the best on the goodie bags.
Okay, anything else?
okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I will be having a city council town hall meeting. That'll be on May the 16th at 6 p.m. And the theme is sharing a vision and moving forward. So I look forward to all of Ward 5 attending and anyone else that would like to attend this town hall meeting. Thank you.
Let me correct that, Christine. It's not a council meeting, it's a city hall, and so the whole council won't be there.
Well, yeah, I said a council, Ward 5 town hall meeting.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Council meeting will be fine too.
And one more, and Vaughn, I'm looking at you for this one, I'm sorry. The cleanup on May 4th, second annual Midwest City Cleanup is going to be at Mid-America Park. Are we still go on that so far?
Yes.
9 I'm sorry, weather permitting? Yes.
Breakfast and lunch will be served.
9 a.m. to noon is what I had on that, is that right? Okay, so do you need to sign up or just show up on that one? Very good. Thank you.
Okay, did you give them a location? That's on Shady Brook? It's on Shady Brook Drive.
4310 North Shady Brook Drive, the Mid-America Park.
Right.
Mr. Henson, you have anything? Everybody took your, took, all right. Well, we do have a couple of proclamations to do this evening. Could the Midwest City Elks Lodge meet me down at the podium, please?
Yeah, before we get on to that, I was going to announce our new comprehensive planner, introduce her, Petya Stefanoff. She's been a resident with Midwest City for approximately 11 years, and she's been very active in the community. She's been, came here, I think, to work with Fred Quinn in his architecture office, but she's also been worked with VITA, the VITA program. She got her undergrad in architecture engineering from Bulgaria, and then she came to the States and got her another degree, or master's degree in architecture from Kansas, KU, and now she's working on her PhD at OU in basically sustainable communities or community engineering. So I'd like to welcome her. She'll be working on several projects for y'all.
This is a group from the Midwest City Elks Lodge. They're very active in our community and do a lot. And coming up, they're going to be recognizing the youth, and we prepared a proclamation for that. And it's whereas the benevolent order and protective order of the Elks has designated May 1st through the 7th, 2019 as Youth Week to honor Americans, junior citizens, for their accomplishments and give them a fitting recognition for their services to the city, state, and nation. Whereas Midwest City Elks Lodge will sponsor an observance during that week in tribute to the junior citizens of this community, and whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation, and than one dedicating to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource and who in years ahead will assume the responsibility for advancement to our free society. Whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give them in order to prevent or help develop those qualities of character essential for future leadership and go forth to serve America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with the youth, our understanding of their hopes, aspirations, and sincere willingness to help and prepare them in every way for their responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now, I, therefore, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim the first week of May 2019 as Youth Week. Chief Claves, please join me. Coming up is Police Week, is when we remember not only our police officers, but those who have fallen. And in reference to that, and whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation designating May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as Police Week, so May 15th, 2019 is designated as Police Officer Memorial Day in honor of those fallen officers and those families, and the U.S. flag should be flown at half-staff. And whereas there are more than 900,000 law enforcement officers serving communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Midwest City Police Department. Whereas the first recorded death of a police officer was in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And those names are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement or Law Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Whereas in 2019, new names of fallen heroes are added to the memorial, including 163 officers killed in 2018 and 65 killed in previous years. Whereas the service and sacrifice of Oklahoma officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the Oklahoma Peace Officers Memorial Ceremony at 11 a.m. on Thursday, May 10th, and with the national on the 31st annual candlelight vigil on May 13th, 2019. Whereas we recognize that the members of the Midwest City Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our citizens of our community, preserving life and property by protecting them against violence or disorder, by defending the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. So therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through the 18th as Police Week. Ms. Eads. I'm going to take a little political commentary. This week, the governor signed another preemption bill forbidding municipalities to regulate our own destiny, and this concerns one of them. We take the environment very seriously in Midwest City, and things that have to do with the environment. And Ms. Eads reached out to me last week and wanted to do something special for Earth Day. So in honor of that,
I'm not sure that'll help. Whereas all species play a unique role in the complex web of life and contribute to the ecosystem services on which all life on Earth depends, and hence protecting our species is crucial to the survival of this planet and its inhabitants. And whereas wild animal populations have declined on average by more than half, and the Earth is facing an era of mass extinction, and the loss of species is for the most part a result of human activity, including degradation of ecosystems, deforestation, pollution, and climate change. And whereas our remaining species provide important services such as generating oxygen and purifying the air, controlling other animals considered pests or that spread disease, polluting plants, crops, and more, and whereas many plants, wild animals, and pollinators live in urbanized landscapes and cities, therefore we have a responsibility to examine the ecological impacts of expanding urban areas and how to protect biodiversity and to strive for sustainability. And whereas it is more important than ever to cooperate locally and internationally to defend the environmental progress that has been heretofore gained. And whereas Earth Day is an annual reminder of the constant need for environmental awareness, stewardship, commitments, and sustainability efforts. So therefore, I, Susan Eads, council member of Midwest City, have the honor of presenting this proclamation in honor of Earth Day and encouraging citizens, businesses, and institutions to celebrate Earth Day and remember our part in promoting the protection of our species. And I have the pleasure to present this to Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, thank you so much. And the proclamation didn't say anything, but I'm going to put in a shameless plug for the fact that the city, just in the last few weeks, gave away 200 trees to citizens who could sign up at will. And we had a social media campaign go out. My understanding is within less than an hour.
Less than 45 minutes.
All of those trees were spoken for, and those will be planted throughout our community. And so we're very thankful for that endeavor. And I believe that was funded through a grant that we obtained through the tree board. There we go. So just another good
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we now move into our consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council, by one or unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of the council or members of the audience wish to discuss an item to be removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into our discussion items of the agenda.
First item is PC 1986. This is a public hearing with discussion consideration of a request to rename Center Drive to Warren Drive. This request came forward in part as a result of the substantial development of new commercial project near the corner of Southeast 15th Street and Sooner Road that will be anchored by a new Warren Theater. This will allow some incidental signage along I-40 and the Planning Commission recommended approval of the proposed name change.
Just very briefly, I understood from the staff report that there were 2 hotels that had posed objection to changing the name to Warren from Center. Is that correct?
I don't think that they wanted to necessarily do that because they have to change all their stationery and signage and everything that goes along with that.
Just in fairness, did anyone sign up to speak on behalf
No,
of
ma'am.
those businesses?
And also, we went through this when we changed the name out there on the Snapper Drive, and I was assured by the postmaster that there will be no interruption in service along there. Everything would be as smooth as silk, and then they could change out their stationery and what have you as needed. So there's no immediate expense to any of the businesses or residences.
I have one follow-up, just curiosity question. In the staff report that I read, Billy, it referenced requesting signage change coming from westbound on I-40 to include Center Road and Warren Drive, but it didn't reference anything for eastbound. Were we going to request to change both of those with ODOT?
Billy, let me
Go ahead.
respond on that. The signage going, coming from west to east is not as clear in terms of how you get to Warren, would get to Warren Drive, because you would get off on Sooner Road and then go north on Sooner and then go east on the service road to get to Warren Drive. And so, at least initially, we felt like the best one to focus on was the westbound traffic. We hope that as part of the I-40 Sooner Road Bridge project, that we'll be able to get a second one, a second new sign on the overhead structure going westbound, and we'll take a look at whether it makes sense over there on the eastbound. It's just a difficult, there's no easy way to get to Warren Drive. Most likely people are going to get off on Sooner Road and go north up to 15th Street from there.
Well, we're kind of hoping everybody's going to rely on their GPSs, and once they know how to get there, they'll always come back.
There you go.
So, with that being said, I would move to approve this agenda item if there's no further discussion.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Thank you. Second item?
And
This
if I may for just a second, the applicant thought the meeting was at 7. He's on his way up here. If we could postpone item 2 and 4 till the end of the discussion items,
I
I'd
think
appreciate
that
it.
would be a good thing to do. So could we just go to 3?
2 and 4?
Yes.
So we move to item 3.
This is PC 1989, discussion consideration of approval of the final plat of Johnson Homestead, described as a part of the northwest quarter of Section 7 of Township 11 North, Range 1 West, located at 10433 Southeast 21st Street. Mr. Harless?
Yes, thank you, sir. This is 4.65 acres between Southeast 19th Street and 21st Street, and Avery and Webster. The request is to approve the final plat for subdividing a single parcel into 4 individual parcels for single-family residential development. The preliminary plat was approved in May of 2018. This creates one lot of 2.367 acres and 3 lots just at 0.28 acres, and the remaining balance would be right-of-way. Planning Commission and staff recommend approval.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. It's my understanding that item 5 is going to be continued until May 14th. Is that correct, Mr. Harless?
Yes, Mayor. We're gathering some more information. There were some questions that were brought up amongst staff in another review on the drainage, and we want to get it right. So we're going back out to some outside consultants to double check it.
Okay.
Can we comment on that at all, or we have to leave it alone completely?
No, you can comment.
I have, that's in my ward, and I'm not against it, but you brought up a good point. There's a gentleman in the audience right now that is a landowner just to the northeast of this development. There's another potential development that's going in less than a half mile to the south of this development. And drainage is a huge issue. And I appreciate the fact that you're holding off on it, because I'm for it. The mayor and I met with the people on St. Paul, and hopefully that will proceed too. But we can't afford to do anything on Davidson that affects St. Paul or the other development that's going in south of there, because we are constantly getting inundated with complaints on the drainage. We had an issue this past weekend where the police actually had to get involved because of a drainage issue. I think we're all getting tired of it. And I would hope Mr. City Manager and the future City Manager takes this very serious, in that we look at this, because we have the potential for 3 pretty good developments, separate people. But we've got to get this right, because we can't go back in and we can't continually fix problems that should have been addressed when it was originally built.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. So this will be tabled until May 14th. Go into item number 6.
This is discussion consideration of entering into and approving an agreement for professional architectural services with Seltzer Schaefer Architects from Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the amount of $178,695 to design the new single-story Midwest City Animal Services Center of approximately 9,500 square feet with associated parking on city property located at 2901 Woodside Drive. This is a general obligation project. So you have the negotiated contract in your agenda. I believe we have representatives from, nope, okay. So, but we do have the police chief, who has been instrumental in negotiating this contract, as well as Billy Harless and Vaughn Sullivan. They can answer any questions that you might have.
Heather, did you look over the contract?
Yes, I did.
I like to defer to our attorney. This is what we pay her for. Are you comfortable with it?
I am. There were a couple changes the city requested. The architecture firm was very willing to cooperate on that. The one item that slipped through both the architecture firm and myself was the cost paragraph, where we had to initial that it is in fact the 178,695 is the correct amount.
Okay. Thank you.
That being said, is there any further questions?
Seeing that this is our first bond project and we all are anxious to get this project on the ground, if there's no further discussion, I would move to approve.
Second.
I had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Move to item 7. Oh, okay. Well, we'll move back up to item number 2.
This is PC 1988, discussion consideration of approval of the replat of Lot 15, Block 21 of the Spectrum Heights Edition, described as a part of the northwest quarter of Section 10, Township 11 North, Range 2 West, and described as 101 East Kitty Hawk Drive. Mr. Harless?
Yeah, as you described, this is a replat of Lot 15, and I'm going to go ahead and diverge from the staff report because I think we've heard a lot about how we got to this process, but wanted to thank a couple of people as we move forward on this. Councilperson Easer, who's also our chair, vice chair of the original mile reinvestment committee for this project, and then Councilperson Bowens, who is also on the board, and of course you, Mayor, who has been participant of this and helped lead the way on this. This is a project that we started on as staff and has caused for a lot of brain damage to try to come up with a way to find a way for people to reinvest into the original mile. For those of you who do development, realize that redevelopment is 10 times more difficult than greenfield development, and so staff and the committee members followed recommendations off of the original mile study that was done, and we put out requests for proposals. We had some very innovative proposals for that, and Mr. Johnson, the applicant in this case, was the person that won that proposal. His proposal, I think the thing that caused for a lot of excitement was Jeff, the applicant in this case, Mr. Johnson, has participated in a lot of Oklahoma City's redevelopment. That's caused a lot of synergy within those areas of redevelopment. And the proposal that he brings to the table in this case, and also the item number 4, I think is just what we're looking for. And sitting down with the applicant yesterday with staff, and hopefully he can talk about this a little bit more as he comes up here, but some of the other projects that he's looking at on his own in this area. So with that, the Planning Commission staff recommend approval.
Is there any discussions or questions? Mr. Johnson, could you come to the podium? Thanks for being here this evening.
Apologize for my tardiness.
No problem. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Johnson? And everything's proceeding as you expect?
Yes, we're excited to get started.
Great. Well, yes, ma'am.
I have a comment.
Okay.
So I am very excited to see this project come to execution, and I can't wait to see you break ground on these properties, this and what is coming before us is item number 4. And I would just throw out there as the added bonus that seems to me that an added selling point for these 2 properties that you're proposing here is the fact that they're going to have a lovely view of the north end of the newer and updated Bomber Stadium. So I think that should be an added selling point. So,
Well, that being said, Chair, to entertain a motion.
move to approve, Mayor.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We move to item number 4.
Hey, Jeff, you should give away like 2 years' worth of season tickets to the Midwest City game to the person.
I know,
who
we
buys
should have
the
put some
house.
balconies up there.
Wrigley Field.
If there's a sky deck that is, never mind.
Next item is PC 1991, discussion consideration of approval of the replat of Lot 6, Block 5 of the Pine Addition, described as a part of the northeast quarter of Section 10, Township 11 North, Range 2 West, and addressed as 220 East Kitty Hawk Drive. Mr. Harless?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Henson. This is very similar as number 2, item number 2. But in thanking people, I forgot to thank Terry Kraft, who was instrumental in helping putting these things together, but also Public Works, because implementing these, we've had to go to Public Works and help them do the sewer and help remove some of the trees, and they're going to be bringing in fill for this to the spec that that Mr. Johnson has requested. So this is a team effort in working on these. So anyway, Planning Commission and staff recommend approval.
Discussion, consideration?
Mr. Johnson, in fairness, did you have anything you wanted to say on this one? We got you all the way out here, so.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is, I was a part of the original steering committee to figure out how to way to save the original mile and to come up with things that made it relevant. And so the process has actually been amazing, working with the staff and everything. And it's going to be really great to see some of these things kind of actually come to fruition. And I really hope that it makes a huge difference in the original mile. I love the original mile. I think it's the coolest thing we have in our city. It's got character. New development is great and all that, but taking old stuff and making it, relevant again for the citizens of the city, bringing people that want to live in this city to something that's different, has character, and I hope that's what we achieve in doing this.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We sure appreciate it. And we're looking forward to the same thing. So with that being said, entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Item number 7.
This is discussion consideration of approving and entering into a contract with ADG PC for program and project management services associated with the Moving Midwest City Forward 2018 bond projects in the amount of $472,364,000. Mr. Sullivan?
Mayor and Council, we're very excited about this opportunity to engage with ADG for this bond project. This is something that was not my brainchild originally, but when Mr. Henson brought me this idea, and after discussing it with him at length and also consulting with others on staff, Billy Harless and others, Billy's been a big help in negotiating this as well. We're excited to have some folks looking over our shoulder, if you will, Mayor. Looking out after our best interests. As staff, we have some fabulous skill sets amongst us combined, but we don't do this type of volume of construction and complication of construction on a regular basis. And it's exciting to know that someone will have my back. Someone will have Billy's back, city manager's back, and looking out after our best interests. We're going to be dealing with a lot of consultants, a lot of general contractors, construction managers, and so on and so forth. So we're excited about the opportunity. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. ADG representatives are in the audience as well, if you'd like to address them.
Mr. Sullivan, I just have something in follow-up, and I'm sorry, I was trying to scroll in my agenda to get to the this request goes to services that will affect a number of the bond projects, and I was trying to scroll ahead, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten there yet. But this is a big ticket item, and ultimately, it's a fraction of the cost of the overall projects that we're undertaking. Would that be a fair sentiment without me pulling the actual numbers up? And Pat's trying to help me here, but I'll just go with it off the cuff like this. It's also my understanding in speaking with Mr. Henson and in reading your staff report, Mr. Sullivan, that our neighboring municipalities, specifically Oklahoma City and Norman, have used the services either of this group or another group like it for
correct.
large-scale construction projects.
ADG does perform these same services for both of those cities, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so kind of, we're buying ourselves a little insurance
Yes,
here,
ma'am.
if you will.
That's a great way to put it.
Nothing, taking nothing from our staff, just, as you mentioned, these are big projects, and these are big involved projects, and a little extra insurance project, or little extra insurance protection is really what we're going for here,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it also adds to transparency too, which is a really good thing. I mean, citizens trusted us to do this right, and I think that the added insurance and the added, more to me, is the transparency that the citizens can see how their dollars are being properly spent.
That's a great point, Councilman Reed. Some of the detailed reporting that ADG will provide for us, you will see that on a regular basis in front of you at council meetings, and that'll also help staff in the preparation of those reports to keep all of you up to date.
And I
on
assume
our
those
progress
reports
as
will
well.
be available online for any citizen that wants to get on and read them as well.
Be glad to make them available. Yes, sir, that's a great suggestion.
That's the
Thank you.
transparency that I appreciate.
Mhm.
Well, I like to say this, thank you. I see all these projects, and I see some that's really just citywide.
Yes, ma'am.
And even some in my ward. Thank you, yes. But I always say that, I get so excited when I see improvement in my ward, and just Midwest City entirely, but it's obviously great to see something such as the Mid-American Park, which is, it's gonna be a great access to Midwest City. So with all of this, I think it's great. I think we are the contract with ADG, PC. Did I see the attorney? Did you look at it?
I did. We had very little requests for any edits on ADGs. They covered, I think, all of the areas that Mr. Sullivan and I discussed as possible concerns for the city.
Well,
Any further discussion? With that, I'd entertain a motion.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Item number 8.
This is discussion, consideration of approving and entering into a contract with Smith Roberts Balderschweiler LLC, parentheses SRB, for the construction, administration, and inspection services associated with the Moving Midwest City Forward 2018 bond Proposition 1 street rehabilitation in the amount of $205,200. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, once again, Mayor and Council, we're excited to have SRB. SRB is also performing these services for the city of Oklahoma City and providing some similar services for the city of Nichols Hills. And we're excited to have them, their oversight and inspection. They bring extensive experience to the table. Not that we don't have these skill sets among our staff, but we are about doing the regular daily business of this city, and this will help give us, as Councilperson Eads said earlier, a little bit of an insurance and have someone looking over our shoulder and doing inspections, and be glad to answer any questions about the agreement before you.
I might say that we're in the bid review process on the first leg, so to speak, of the asphalt and concrete work.
Yes, sir. We'll very soon we will be putting out an advertisement for the first $2 million worth of concrete rehabilitation, and in a separate contract, $2 million worth of asphalt rehabilitation as well.
Any further discussion or questions?
We do have somebody from SRB. here.
SRB is present as well, if you'd like.
Thank you for being here tonight, sir.
So where is he at? Could he stand? Oh.
Mr. Craig Wallace, we've known Craig for a long time, and Craig brings a wealth of knowledge from the paving side of the business to the table in his firm, and we're excited. He will be our primary point of contact with SRB on this project. So.
Any further discussions or questions? Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 9.
This is discussion consideration of approving an ordinance adding Chapter 36.5 Small Wireless Facilities to the Midwest City Municipal Code, adding the following sections in the new chapter: Section 36.5-1 Statement of Purpose, Section 36.5-2 Definitions, 36.5-3 Small Wireless Facility Permitting Regulations, Section 36.5-4 Requirements and Conditions, Section 36.5-5 Abandonment, Section 36.5-6 Indemnification, Section 36.5-7 Insurance and Bonds, and providing for repealer, severability, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Harless?
Yes, sir. We bring this forward. This is for the new 5G that's being installed across the country that everyone's hearing about. My understanding is this is the technology that will lead to self-driving cars and very, very high-speed internet. This ordinance here is adopting the state minimum. That's a requirement in our local ordinances. It deals with permitting, the height limitations of the cell, the color, how that might be affected. It would be something in town center that would have to be a similar type colors, the poles that are down there, and then whether it's stealth or not, and then just some of the permitting process. But staff recommends approval.
Is there any indication from the industry when we're going to first start seeing this in our community?
We already have a couple of them coming through permitting process now.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Harless? That I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second, and also there's an emergency clause for a second motion.
Right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. I would entertain a motion to declare an emergency.
Motion for an emergency adoption.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. And item number 10.
This is discussion consideration of appointing a replacement for Travis Jernigan to the Plumbing, Gas, and Mechanical Board. We were hoping that we would have a recommendation. Nope. Okay.
We did have, but decided couldn't serve. Is that okay?
John, I'm not asking you to serve. Do you have an idea of somebody that could serve on this board? Don't take long. Or we will appoint you.
Okay, we can table this until next council. We do have an addendum item, and I'll read this one. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're celebrating the 40-year selfless service of Mr. Henson and the tireless efforts that he's put forth to this community, it's now time to consider Mr. Henson's replacement. So in line of that, item number 11 is discussion and consideration of the appointment of Mr. Tim Lyons as city manager, effective June 13th, 2019, and the acceptance of the terms of proposed employment contract between the City of Midwest City and Tim Lyons. I would add that this has been a very smooth process for the city. Ms. Kathy Terry is in the audience. She served as the moderator for these negotiations. All of you have the contract in your packets. I assume that you've had time to review the terms and conditions of the contract. So if there's any questions, comments? Yes, ma'am. Okay, you received the corrected contract in your email, and I assume that you've had a chance to review them. So with that being said, is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, Chair to entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
It's on. I'd just like to thank the mayor and council for this opportunity. I'm very humbled by this opportunity, and I look very much forward to working with each and every one of you. And thank you, Mayor. It was a very fair negotiation, and we worked well together in
Yes, we did.
accomplishing this. So thank you. And thank you, Guy, for all the years of service that you provided to the city, and I look forward to
Thank you, the city.
Thank you, Tim.
manager, city.
And Ms. Terry, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a partner with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we move into the new business public discussion. Because there's no agenda items that would be attached with your comments, we as a council cannot engage in a conversation, but we would be able to contact you later and further discuss your item. We do have two people sign up to come up and address the council. Ms. Brockaway, 2001 North Midwest. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Mayor and council people and members of the audience. My name is Dana Brockway, 2001 North Martin Luther King, Oklahoma City. I'm actually the executive board member of the NAACP, and I'm reaching out to you guys to let you know that we're getting an influx of Midwest City constituents regarding DHS. As you know, it's been on the news. The NAACP is filing a federal lawsuit. But we are seeing an astronomical amount of people coming in with concerns with DHS that are Midwest City constituents. Our concern with DHS will be met in the arena best served, but we are asking that you reach out to your legislatures and ask them to open up the door for conversation. We did meet with leadership at one point with DHS. It didn't go so well, but we have huge concerns with the constituents. We have huge concerns with the people that are coming in with evidence, and we need a champion here. We need someone else to say, we have some issues. There's embers burning, and yet nobody's looking at the fire that's coming. We did not take the approach for adversarial measures. We did knock on the doors friendly. We did have a meeting with the general counsel in the governor's office. We have continually knocked on the doors, and I'm not sure why they don't see the same issues that we see. The people are speaking, and they're speaking loudly. We have children that have died. We have policies that are being violated. We have audio, we have video, we have evidence, and yet no one is listening. So we reach across this aisle, and we ask that you reach out to legislature and say, can somebody listen? We do have a rally coming up on the 26th at the state capitol on the south side from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We would ask that you come and meet your constituents to hear their concerns, the same concerns that we hear. See the pictures that we see and see the evidence that we're seeing to knock on those doors. And we make ourselves available for questions and concerns. I've made myself available. The phone rings 24/7. But we need a champion that is not scared to say there is something wrong with the system. The infrastructure is broken, and somebody has to finally start listening, or it's the children that suffer. Thank you for your time.
Can we can't really engage, but we can ask her a question. Can you email to all of us your concerns and everything else, so at least I can be better informed?
I will absolutely do that, if you can give me email addresses. I've also brought one person here. One of our complaints that we've had an influx of is with tribal members. There are huge federal policies when members are tribal members, and those regulations are not being followed. Notices are not being given. It is the taxpayer's burden when children are removed from homes. And what we're seeing is that a lot of them are just due to quote-unquote dirty houses, but they're gone for 2 and 3 years. Somebody should have come in and evaluated a house within 2 or 3 months. That's the burden of a taxpayer. And then when that child no longer comes home because that child is now deceased, there is a problem. Should no parent bury a child? I should never have to outlive my child due to a system. And there's systemic issues. This isn't just from Midwest City or Oklahoma City. We're seeing them from El Reno. We're seeing them from the Panhandle. We're seeing them from small rural areas. And yet nobody is listening to the constituents, and that's disconcerting. So I will gladly email you our concerns, and I will ask you to come to the rally and let it be known. Thank you, ma'am.
Is there a phone number?
For,
You have a phone number they can reach you at? or-
yes, ma'am, 405-254-0993.
Mayor?
Will it be in your email to us?
I will
Please? Thank
absolutely,
you.
yes, ma'am.
When
know
you
we
email
can't
me, I'd like
discuss
to
anything
talk
with
to you
her.
after I get your
We
email.
cannot.
Yes, sir.
A question I can ask you.
Yes, sir.
If this is a significant problem, and she's asking for us to support her, how hard would this be to put this on the agenda for the
Not hard at all.
the next council, so that she can come give us a presentation?
Not hard at all. And as soon as, again, as soon as you'll get the email and we get vetted information from you, we will invite you back and have you address council on an agenda item. Fair
At
enough?
that point, we could have a two-way conversation.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has anything to bring before? I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I would just like to tell a little bit about my story. I'm a 54-year-old man.
Oh, okay. Sir, could you tell us your name and address and speak into the microphone, please?
Okay, thank you. My name is Ron Green. My address is 4521 Northeast 19th Circle. I'm a 54-year-old man. I have 3 grown children. I have 2 children that's biracial, that's in the system, not with anything to do with me. And I went and took a DNA test, and it came back positive. The children were 3 months old. I've been fighting in this system for over 2 years. I call my children every day. I go visit them. I do all I can. I'm equal. Never been served any papers. It's just real strenuous. I don't have the resources that the state have to fight against this. And as I said, I'm a working man. I work all the time. I don't have time for nothing else. It's really hard, and I've noticed that the problem with DHS is systematic. And it's not only in my neighborhood, but in y'all's neighborhood and everybody else's. I lived right around here all my life. I come up out of Spencer. I went to Falsiestas Votech. I went to they had a Cedar Work program over there at Midwest City. And I went through all that. I mean, I've been regional park, and ride our bikes, all that. I'm real familiar. Nakoma Park, just right around the circle is where I was raised and grown. So a lot of the people I went to school with from Midwest City and all that. It's real strenuous when you got a single parent. And even at that, they're trying to deny anybody to come around and help me. And I have a set of twins that's 2 years old. And I've done everything DHS have asked me. I went all the way up to jury trial. They stopped it. And they said, we're going to do reunification. So I'm going back through the reunification part now. I have nowhere to turn. Who do I turn to? These are my babies. They come from me. And I love my kids. And it's real hard. I just wanted to say that because I know that there's people here in Midwest City going through the same things with their children. That's all we got, is the babies. That's all I have to say. And if you Anybody want to ask me any questions?
Well, sir, we can't engage in a two-way conversation, but we do appreciate your attendance here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to bring before the council?
Mr. Mayor, William Bridges, 10300 Belmont Avenue in Midwest City. Two things. First of all, on the items, like item number 8, when we're talking about the resource officers at the school, I know you can't answer, but are we talking about hiring 2 police officers to fill those positions? And if so, you know, and I know, my last call to dispatch, you know the answer I got from dispatch. I'm not here to upset anybody. I'm not here to irritate anybody. We have discussed, I have discussed with you, I have discussed with Jeff, opportunities that we have to make this city and please the residents of this city. I would be more than happy to sit down and discuss it with the council. But the thing is, we have some opportunities that we need to address. You and I have discussed those, and we need to address to in turn help and let us, the resident of Midwest City, know what we can do to help y'all in resolving these opportunities. And Mr. Moore, he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and I will not discuss that tonight, but what can we, the citizens and the residents of Midwest City, do to help our council make this a better city and improve our security and improve the looks and invite the people to move to Midwest City and the business. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for being here, Mr. Bridges. Does anyone else have anything to bring before the council? Hearing none, there is a further information piece. Minutes from the April 2nd, 2019 Planning Commission. And if there's no further discussion, we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We do have a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item does not meet with the approval of all the trustees or members of the audience which discuss an item, it will be removed and heard in regular order.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we move into the new business public discussion. I'm sorry. We do have an addendum to the municipal authority, and it does pertain to the contract and the selection of Mr. Lyon as city manager. The reason for this being on this agenda is because of the salary split up. So with that being said, and entertain a motion.
It's listed as B3. I'm sorry.
Okay. Are we clear? Okay, no problem. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move into new business public discussion. Does anybody have anything to bring before the trustees of the authority? Hearing none, we're hereby adjourned. Call to order the Midwest City Memorial Hospital Authority. We do have a consent agenda attached with this particular agenda, and I will forego reading that and consider a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. We do have one discussion item.
This is discussion consideration of action to reallocate assets, change fund managers, or make changes in the statement of investment policy guidelines and objectives. No action is necessary on this evening.
No action necessary on discussion items, so we move into the new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing none, we're hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Economic Development Commission. We do have a consent agenda, and I would consider the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we move into the new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the Economic Development Commission? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending.